call regular meeting Thursday, August 24th, 2023 at 7:09. We will please rise. We will have John Berthel from Kirby Baptist Church provide the invocation, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the day, Lord, and for all that you do for us, Lord. As we come into this council meeting, today, Lord, I just pray that you give each one of us knowledge and wisdom, and just help actually guide us as far as what Kirby needs, Lord. Not what I want or what anybody else wants, but to actually take the actual citizens of Kirby and allow their will to be done, and according to you, that they may be guided and to be directed. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission statement: the City of Kirby is dedicated to delivering excellent municipal services to our community in a fiscally responsible manner. Chief Hilburn, please call roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Abdallah.
Here.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Hicks.
Here.
Councilmember Lozano.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Molina.
Here.
Mayor Bright.
Here.
We do have a call.
Thank you. Moving on to citizen participation. First, we have, or Mr. Romans, do you want to wait just to the minutes? Okay. All right, then, Mr. Enklin, did you want to wait just for those items? Okay. Mr. Miller, would you like to speak now? Okay. Chief, can you make it wider so he can see his time larger?
Oh, it is, okay. Well, I just wasn't talking loud enough.
Mr. Miller, can you
Okay.
just, one moment for
Yeah.
me? Chief Cardona, can you help Chief Hilburn to make the time larger?
Oh, yeah. First point of order there. I can't see it. Thank you, Mayor. Just drag down from the bottom left of that corner. That bottom left of that corner of that window. Yeah, but on the other side, and just bring it diagonal down. It should open it. It should open it up, and then. But you know what I mean? Oh no, it doesn't do that, does it?
It's not the
I don't know about other folks. I got my cataracts fixed, so I can see that now. I mean, I can see it.
You can see it, okay?
Yeah, I can see
Okay,
it.
so-
I don't know about other folks, but
Okay.
I can't see it.
You can see it.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I was just curious. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. You're smiling. That's good. Ms. Rodriguez should be smiling. Make $1,000 tonight. Our city attorney, $1,000 tonight. 210
Are
an hour.
is it good? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Miller.
I'd be smiling. Jack Miller, 4839 Dick Gordon. I was just letting the citizens know that Ms. Rodriguez, our city attorney that's sitting in tonight, should be smiling. You'll make $1,000 tonight if this meeting runs 5 hours. You guys need to know that. Citizens need to know that. Her rate is $210 an hour to sit here and watch this clown show. You guys hired an outside agency to investigate this lover spat or somebody hurt somebody's feelings between Councilman Garza and Chief Cardona. I really don't know what's going on. None of us do. The people, by the way, I'm the people. That's me. I'm the people. And the people want to know what's going on because you guys went back into closed session and voted, bam, like that, to hire this outside agency. Leon Valley, I always talk about them because I had a lot of experience with them. They did the same thing. Political hit against a council member from a police chief and a city manager. They hired an outside firm, probably the same firm you guys are using. There's not very many available that do this kind of stuff. Their bill ran about $36,000 to investigate this councilman's misconduct. Words that he said. And at the end of the day, nothing happened because he's a council person. He's an elected official. You can't fire him. It ran them $30-something thousand. I suspect that your bill is going to be around $30,000. Did anybody ask this firm how much it's going to be? Don't bother. They won't tell you. They don't know. But I can tell you they charge around $400 an hour, maybe as low as $300, sometimes as high as $600 an hour to investigate this spat. Now, I'm going to call it a spat because I don't know what it is. I know it's not criminal in nature. To my knowledge, there's not any criminal investigations against Mr. Garza or the police chief. And why you guys wouldn't let the citizens know what's going on before you vote to take such a large expenditure. Maybe hoping that we're just not paying attention, and then once the bill comes, oh well. But I'm here to tell you and tell the people that this is going to be a very large expense. And one of the testing. Testing. Okay. And let the people know this is going to be a huge expenditure, right? And we're talking about budget, right? We're talking about budget and talking about how to pay things. Let's just say it's half of what I say it's going to be, $15,000. What happens when one of you guys say something to somebody else? Another investigation, another 15. It's easy. Stop. Is it batteries? This is important because it doesn't integrate with the live stream. I'm not going to touch this thing, so I don't, in case I'm shaking it or something. Okay, so hard to keep track of where I'm going with this, but you guys go back. I can just talk loud.
Can you just talk real loud, or because what is it? Is it batteries? Because
I don't know if the battery can just.
normally it goes out, but not this much.
I don't mind talking loud, but I mean, I can talk loud enough for the live stream to hear it, I think, on y'all's mics. But a lot of people can't do that. And then you have to put earplugs in because it's going to be loud for this gentleman. Green light.
All right.
Okay, so where are we at on time? Kind of lost track there. It was about 3:30 whenever we stopped initially. Can I get 3:30? Mayor?
3:30. Yes, 3:30 is fine.
Okay. Is it possible to program that to 3:30 so I can watch it, or I can run a timer?
I think he's doing it.
Oh, great. Thank you.
All right, there we go.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So it's real easy for you guys to go back and be like, hey, we're going to hire an outside firm, and who cares what it costs, right? Because you have a checkbook that on the front of it, it doesn't have your name on it. It has taxpayer. It's a taxpayer's checkbook full of blank checks. It don't come out of your pocket. I guarantee you, I could say 100 things 100 times more vile than what Mr. Garza said to her or what she said to him. And there will be no investigation if you guys that voted to hire this firm had to write the check yourself. There would be no investigation. Rather, you would investigate it yourselves. You wouldn't be like, oh, it's a conflict of interest if our city manager or anybody else investigates this. It'll be a conflict of interest. It won't look good for the city. Let me tell you what doesn't look good for the city. Paying $30,000 to have somebody from the outside come in and try to figure out what's going on between an employee and a city council person. That needs to be handled in-house for way, way cheaper. You can fix the city of San Antonio pays around $80 a pothole. Takes them about a half hour for an average pothole to fix in the city. I think that's roughly 400, maybe 450 potholes we could fix just for the amount of money we're going to spend on investigating this nonsense. And there is nothing that prohibits you guys from releasing the complaint that was filed. Nothing by law. I understand y'all don't want to release it. And let me tell you what I've learned from doing what I do with cities. When they don't want to release information, such as a complaint, it's because it's not going to make the city look good. You give news press conferences on things that make the city look good. But when it comes to a complaint that you're going to spend a significant amount of money on, well, we're not going to release that. I can only speculate that it's because it won't make the city look good. But from my experience, that's exactly why you don't release information. I'm going to request that information. I'm going to sue for that information. When you do your budget, if you're not going to release that information, you need to add another 30,000, maybe another 50. Let's just make it a cool $1 million for what it's going to cost the city to fight releasing these records. The people need to see what this complaint is about. And you guys seriously need to reconsider going forward with this outside firm to investigate this in-house nonsense. If a council person wants to run their mouth irresponsibly and talk mess, if it doesn't violate the law and it doesn't violate things that you can legitimately bring them up on an ethics complaint, you guys don't get to take our checkbook and write whatever check you want to investigate it. You leave it alone. A good friend of mine said, "You big mad, I can't argue with you." Y'all need to adopt that. Whenever a council person up here wants to argue, don't argue with them. Just move on. Mayor has the power to censor a person if they're talking over the city manager. If they're arguing, exercise that power, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White, did you want to speak now? Okay.
One second, please. Okay. Good evening, council, mayor, city manager, both chiefs, city employees, everybody. I just forgive me if I'm slurring or off balance a little bit. My MS is giving me some issues right now. But I prepared something that I want to read to y'all the best I can at the moment with what I'm dealing with, due to the fact that city residents are reaching out to Texas Sheepdog and Internal Affairs Media. And first, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. There's a growing concern amongst the citizens regarding the lack of transparency and communication with our city. It's been brought to my attention that important decisions are being made without proper consultation and disclosure to the citizens who goes against open governance. As residents of the city, we believe that transparency and effective communication are both crucial and, are crucial for the thriving and longevity of our community. By keeping citizens informed, you not only build trust with us, but you also encourage us to actively participate within meetings and so forth. Unfortunately, people come up here and speak and it falls on deaf ears because their concerns never get brought up again. We're worried about, let's do this, let's do that. We're not listening to the citizens. Again, y'all are all elected. Y'all represent us. You don't represent city managers, city attorneys, city employees. You represent the citizens. And I'm begging that y'all please start listening to them. Next, like I said before, I have a lot of free time. If I'm not with my kids, I'm doing research on stories and so forth. I've been watching past videos of ours plus city ones on YouTube. And it's come to my attention that there is times when some of our new council members are trying to gain clarity on a situation, and we're quick to hush them up. We're quick to basically say, well, look, we need to either vote on it or we need to move on to something else. We're quick to say, well, we need to talk about that later. And no, talk about it in front of us. We are why y'all are sitting up there. Talk about it in front of us. Let us engage. Hold a town hall meeting on certain things. Get citizen input. It don't have to be a council meeting, but a town hall meeting. Just get the concerns. Have, hey, once a month, y'all come. Have a dang suggestion box somewhere. Let's make it simple. Let's start representing the people like we're supposed to. Let's stop letting paid employees guide us to where we need to be. No, all of y'all are elected. All of y'all need to research, especially, and this is no offense to anybody. And Mayor, I'm not gonna curse tonight, I promise. This is no offense to nobody, but all the new council members, I beg you and urge you to read up on the city charters and so forth and learn what rights you have to say point of order. Or if you don't like the way something is going and they're pushing you to vote on something, pull what one of his councils pulled in Prairie View, and two of y'all get up and walk out. There's no quorum no more. They can't take a vote. That's gangster, as one of the council members over there said. So please keep citizens first. And Dr. Rowland, that city of one or Kirby of one, or no, keep that in Prairie View. This is the little city with a big heart. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Ms. Voigt, did you want to wait to 7D?
No, I have something to say now.
Okay.
I will speak on 7D. First off, my name is BJ Voigt. I reside at Kirby Drive, and I have lived in Kirby for almost 62 years. Born and raised, my parents were very involved in a lot of stuff in Kirby. One thing I want to bring up, and it did happen to a business that I know of, and that's why I'm bringing this up, is our information in the city of Kirby, computers and everything and phone lines protected. Now that y'all took over the senior center, is it protected? Because a business that I know of over July 4th weekend was hit with a $1.3 billion. They wanted them to pay $1.3 billion before they would put back their phones and their computers. This company chose to get a new phone system and rebuild their computer system. It can happen. I think it happened to Judson ISD. Also, there's another thing. My home phone and my cell phone number have been spoofed. Can someone spoof the City of Kirby phone numbers, the Kirby Senior Center phone numbers? Because I'm getting calls, people saying, I'm returning your call, you just called me. I did not. One of them was on my home number while I was gone for 6 weeks. So I know it's a scam. And that's just something I thought I'd bring up because it's very important. It affects everybody. The next thing is, I'm going to talk more on this, but I'm going to read this because I thought it was quite interesting. Entire police force resigns. Officers with the Goodhue, Minnesota Police Department quit following disputes over pay, an issue shared by other departments nationwide. That is something y'all need to think about. What would happen if they walked out because we didn't pay them enough? And we know we don't pay them enough. Do we have a backup? Just like with the city CPS right now doing the energy alerts. I know the police chief will have it handled, but City of San Antonio put out that they have places for people to go and VIA will pick them up at no charge. Do we have a backup for the seniors in Kirby? Then I'll get more into, I'm going to start with this because I don't know if I'll have enough. I was on the board of the Kirby Senior Center, and I was at the last meeting, and I'm going to say that I felt like one of the volunteers that gave a whole lot of her time, I felt y'all were disrespectful to her. And she won't say this, but I do. I just felt like the way she was talked to, I felt it was disrespectful. And then I'm going to go into, when I first got on the Senior Center board, and after finding out, several people there said that there has been, that when they were on the board, and citizens did go to other people and say something was wrong at the Senior Center. And that was over 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. So all of a sudden, it's this certain board's problem? I don't think so. I think y'all need to do a lot more research before you start blaming people. For instance, in 2019, I did 122 hours with the food bank. I power washed, attended meetings. We trimmed trees. We did breakfasts. And in that time, I donated $185.95 in cash. That doesn't include everything that I got donated from my old boss, which was over $2,000. And on Facebook, I put out about the Senior Center needing stuff. And I was told by one of the people that used to buy all that stuff, when I started putting that out there, she did not have to buy stuff. Okay. In 2020, my cash donations were $266.60. I worked 44 hours at the food bank. We did a thing called the Ask Me letters. I spent over 40 hours walking those. We had a rummage sale, and the rummage sale came because there was some people down the street having a estate sale, and I made a statement. I said, let's go ask them. I will continue this on when we talk about the other.
Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to 6, consideration of an action on minutes. Mr. Romans, would you like to speak now? Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. I'm addressing the minutes because it appears that the process has changed. I've heard the word process used a lot. Process, a series of actions taken in order to achieve a particular outcome. On all these minutes, the signature block has been changed. The signature block is now that of Dr. Rowland and the city secretary. Prior to that, it has always been the mayor. The mayor is the head of the body and should be signing the minutes. It may seem like a small thing, but it's the public record. When you guys are being presented what it's supposed to, this is a reflection of what it is, and you just accept it, the author of the minutes doesn't take the hits. It is you that vote on the minutes that actually take the hit. The minutes for August 10th, 2023. Item 7J. It said 2 members excused themselves from a vote. 2 council members recused themselves. A recusal is an official term. The charter states they have to declare a reason why they recused themselves, which they did. That should be annotated in the minutes. The minutes for the retreat shows some narrative highlighting an individual council person specifying actions. That's bringing a narrative into that, and that was the only time narrative was involved. Well, if the process is changing to affect outcomes, we need to look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we have first with, well, let's start from the beginning. A regular minutes, July 13th, 2023.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the regular minutes dated July 13th, 2023.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the regular minutes, July 13th, 2023. First by Mayor Pro Tem Apodaca, seconded by Councilmember Hitt. Chief Hilburn, please call roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Apodaca,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Hitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Molina,
Yes.
Mayor Bright.
Yes. Okay, that one passes. Okay. Next, we have regular minutes, regular minutes, July 27th, 2023.
Mayor, I make a motion, we accept the regular meeting minutes for July 7th, 2023. Got tongue tied.
Second.
Who was first? Who said that? I know Martin and then, okay, so I don't. Okay. Okay, we have regular minutes, July 27th, 2023. Motion to approve first by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Molina. Chief Hilburn, please call roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Apodaca,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Hitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Molina,
Yes.
Mayor Bright.
Yes. Okay, that one passes. Now moving on to C, regular minutes, August 10, 2023. I do believe that we need to, the city secretary needs to go back and review that because the language needs to be accurate. I mean, that is a big difference. That's not,
And
is
then-
everybody okay with that?
Yeah, and it needs
Go
to be
ahead.
annotated like you'd stated. I think that should be correct too. So not only a recusal, but why they were recused.
Yes,
'Cause
I
if,
agree.
yeah, if you go back to read it, so you know where you're at, you would
Mhm.
have no clue. So, okay.
I agree with that. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Is everybody else okay with that?
I have another question.
Go ahead.
As far as the minutes go, I mean, we are accepting them, but as we are accepting them, are we going to have it to where you sign them, or are we going to continue? Because Mr. Romans isn't wrong about that either. It has changed on here where your signature is not required.
So I had signed them before, so I don't know if she changed the format, because I've signed the minutes before. So it might just be her using the template. It might be something different like that. So I have no problem going back and for my
Signing the
name to be
minutes?
on here to sign it.
Okay.
Because Ms. Clarissa, how does that, I am supposed to be the one signing this, correct? Because that's what I've been doing before, the minutes. Okay. So it needs to be correct.
Do y'all see some minutes with my signature?
We see a line for your signature.
Oh, okay.
It says Dr. Brian Rowland,
Yeah.
yeah, and Caitlin. It doesn't have the mayor's.
Right. So I think it was just an error. I don't think that she did it on
And then
purpose.
also even in the posting, the city manager nor the only person that needs to be really, really required on the posting is the city secretary.
Is that accurate, Clarissa? Miss Clarissa? Okay, just want to confirm so everybody. Okay. Chief, can you make sure so she knows to change thank you. All right. So August 10th, we're going to wait on those. Okay. So August 4th, 2023 for the retreat minutes.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I also agree with him on this as well. The mention here of just my name, it's the only action of which there is just like this one and the next one is the only action of which we discuss or even talk about on here. It does not state, even closely as to the things, that went on. For the hours that we were there, just really those pieces of it. I would also like that to accurately reflect as well. If we're going to speak of actions of what happened through all council members, I'll be okay with it. But at this moment, it just seems very, very distinct. On the next minutes, it's even in bold. So.
Let me see. Could you email exactly what you would like in there?
Okay, that I can do.
Okay. And then for the Rich, is that okay with everybody? So we can, okay.
Yes.
And then for August 5th, also, can you do the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then we'll just bring that back next council meeting. Okay, moving on to 7A, discussion and possible action. Discussion and possible action on Marsh McClellan Agency's proposal and recommendations regarding city employee benefits.
Mayor and council, coming up before you is it's like our broker for health. City went out for bids for proposal.
I think your mic's off. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Okay. I guess I can hear it, but they can hear it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
You all.
Yes.
Council members, you all have before us is Marsh McClellan. They're a broker for the city of Kirby, and he'll give you a little kind of background. We put out a bid that has been in the newspaper for some time, have been on the door and been on our website in reference to our bid for health insurance for the the citizens. For the employees for the city of Kirby, you all will, also be adopting that, through this bid process. Go ahead.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right? My name is Jameson Collick with Marsh McLennan. We've been your insurance broker since 2002, so thank you for the continued partnership. As Brian mentioned, we had a bid out in place for employee benefit broker for the city of Kirby. There was one response from someone in Minnesota, but they ended up declining to quote. They couldn't meet the request for proposal. So Blue Cross Blue Shield has been the insurance carrier for the city of Kirby for quite some time for health insurance. They came to us this year with a 23.5% increase on the rates. That's pretty high. The reason behind that is when you talk about medical health insurance, you have what they call a loss ratio. So the claims they paid out were higher than the premium they brought in from the city of Kirby. It's about 115% loss ratio. Now, with that, we go out to market to all of the other insurance carriers to find the best health insurance company for the city of Kirby's employees. There's about 5 main players. 3 of them declined to quote. Just they didn't feel they could provide a competitive quote and be profitable. So Blue Cross Blue Shield, we have a rate increase at 23.5%. There's another insurance company out there called Curative. We did go back to Blue Cross, and I got the numbers you have in front of you are going to be slightly off because they called me as I was driving here today. They were able to drop that from 23.5% to 12.5%. So they did come down quite a bit. However, the other option we have out there is from a company called Curative, and they are coming in at just under an 8% increase over renewal. When I met with Brian yesterday, we discussed the plan Curative has. It's very unique. It's very innovative. It's, in my opinion, better for the employees. Essentially, once you're on the plan, you do a wellness test, which the city already requires, and you pay $0 the rest of the year. $0 copay, $0 deductible, $0 coinsurance. Meds are even covered except for specialty, but those are charged at the same rate. So out of pocket, overall, employees would end up paying less throughout the year on the plan. Now, we're still finalizing some negotiations, but at this point, with the increase in the budget that Brian and I discussed for health insurance, it falls within the budget. And that's really, give you some time back, but really that's kind of the gist of it. We have one large increase from Blue Cross, what they came down on, and then we have one more market out there that's coming in lower than Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we're going to finalize some of these numbers for you. But as Brian mentioned, I believe was it 9,000, Brian? Either way, we'll follow up with the new adjusted numbers, but just wanted to come present that, see if you had any questions that I can answer.
Excuse me, you said you got a call and it was actually an increase of 12.8% or?
12.5 is what he told me over the phone. So I'm just waiting for those numbers to be emailed to me. As you know, I would have just did the math on my phone, but they might be 12.4867% increase. And I just didn't want to have any wrong numbers for you. But it went from starting at a 23.5% increase year over year, and they came down to 12.5.
But you had somebody else come in at 8.
7.91% for Curative. Yes, sir. So overall, less premium, and then out of pocket, it'll be less to the employees as well throughout the plan year.
And what's the name of that company again?
Curative.
Curative is a company that you've probably seen.
See this word,
They made
Testing, COVID testing company, so you've probably seen or heard of them. Our current provider is Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's who the current employees are with. We, since having a meeting, we talked, trying to figure out how do we weigh, finding out now that we've come down from 23% to 12%. That's still high, but you all know about our plan in reference to, what employees pay and that type of thing. And so, we still need to figure out is the switch from Blue Cross Blue Shield at 12% to a new company at 8%. Is it balanced? But when we went through some of the upfront cost deductibles as far as copays with Curative, again, if you did the visit within 90 days.
Yeah, 120 days you have to complete this wellness visit, and it can be virtual as well. So employees don't have to go to a clinic or an office. And to answer your question on the Curative, they made billions of dollars through COVID testing. They're a newer insurance company, but they have a national network, and they funded the Texas Department of Insurance 3 years of premiums and reserves. So there's no worry with them being newer to the health insurance that they're going to go under. They're already A-rated financially.
And how long have they been in existence?
Just a year.
Just, also they're a new
Sorry,
company.
let me rephrase that. COVID testing is when they started in 2020. They've been in the health insurance market for a year, and they're based in Texas. It's a Texas-based company.
So really what we're doing here is we're letting Marshall McLennan Agency get our best deal for us. What we're going to do is hire them.
We know, we already did that. Marsh McLennan is the broker of record for the city of Kirby. They already went out and did that bid process.
Okay.
They're bringing back, they told us they right now to have before you 3 bid options. And then they said that one company did put in a bid, but they put a decline to quote, which is they said they didn't want to quote. But when I went through this process, we asked for them to go to TML. We asked for them to kind of see some other brokers because all cities went through the same issue with having a high increase in premium across the board. And so when we look at that, when we opened the bids and we kind of went through the percentages, again, the current vendor, Blue Cross Blue Shield, was at 23% at that time. The lowest was Curative, which was at 8%. Blue Cross Blue Shield has come back at 12%. And so I think that's where we're at. But again, like he shared, Blue Cross Blue Shield is where we're at. They, have some benefits, but Curative, based on no copay and doing the things within 120 days, I think is a good option. And so that's what we have before you. Do we stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield? Do we move to Curative? What he stated is when we were doing the allocation for the budget, we had to guesstimate a number on how much we would have to pay in premiums for employees. We do that as one of the benefits that the city of Kirby has. City of Kirby pays for insurance for the employee. And so we had to calculate that money just because we're going to have to pay for it. And so we budgeted right about $9,000. Last year, give or take, it was right about $7,700.
So these right now are these are our 2 options.
That's
I
correct.
mean, you have 3.
They didn't, right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so the other main insurance carriers, United Healthcare and Aetna, they declined to quote. Cigna also came back, but they're higher than both of these options, and their network in the San Antonio area is not as good, so we wouldn't recommend that as the broker.
Okay.
So on the Curative plan, do they have like a certain set of facilities or doctors that you have to go to where it limits you, or is it where you can choose your own provider, or basically like a PPO goal?
So it is a PPO plan, and they do have a very large network. They have all of the hospital systems within the San Antonio area. Now, there is always going to be, when you switch insurance companies, maybe 1 or 2 doctors that may be in one network and not the other. But it's not required. You don't have to go to a Curative facility. They have majority of the doctors in all of the hospitals within the greater San Antonio area and network.
Okay. And then on there, it says the fully insured and the compliant with baseline visit. So if they were to do the baseline visit, those are the rates that they would pay, or the premiums and deductibles and so on. But if they did not do that visit, then they would be subjected to the $5,000 deductible and
That's
$10,000 deductible.
That's correct. So the current deductible Blue Cross Blue Shield is $3,000 for an individual. With Curative, if you do not complete that visit within the first 120 days, you would move to a traditional high deductible health plan, still the same network, but you are going to have out-of-pocket costs, which is their ideology behind this health plan is they want everyone to meet with a physician for this baseline visit, and they can start to catch things. They learn your habits, they learn all about you, your behaviors, and then they start, you have what they call a care navigator that stays with you throughout the time you're insured by Curative. So they, at this point in a year, they have tons of clients they've onboarded. 98% of people go do the baseline visit. And the city of Kirby requires a wellness check, a biometric screening, I believe, within the first 60 days. Otherwise, there is a surcharge added to the city of Kirby employees' health insurance. So this essentially takes that place and it added 60 days to it. So instead of 60, they now have 120 days. So it's something the city of Kirby employees are used to already doing.
So is the biometric screening, if they don't pass it, if they fail it?
There's no fail. There's no pass fail. It's a
As long as they do it?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's a 60-minute call, 30 minutes with the physician or a nurse practitioner, and the other 30 is with the care navigator. But it can all be done virtually. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to go into a clinic of any sort. They make it very easy to do.
And there's no cap on doctor visits? Because I'm just, when you say no copay, I'm like, what?
No copay, no
That's kinda
deductible,
weird
no
to me when you say
co-insurance,
no-
no out-of-pocket max. Yeah, it's really impressive.
Yeah, that's something to say, I guess.
The only potential out-of-pocket is, as I mentioned, if there's a specialty pharmacy drug that's not covered, it's $250, which on the Blue Cross plan, specialty pharmacy is also $250.
Well,
They have 24-hour pharmacy delivery, and if you want to go in person, they have HEB and network.
Okay, so they also have that option to use whatever pharmacy that they want? Or?
They can't use any pharmacy. HEB is their main pharmacy if you want to go on site, pick something up immediately. Otherwise, they deliver it to your door within 24 hours of placing it.
Okay.
Their pharmacy is based in Austin, so it's easy for them to.
you said it's Optum?
Excuse me?
You said the pharmacy was Optum?
It's not Optum. It's based in Austin. They're headquartered out of Austin, Texas.
So they have a mail order.
That's correct.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Have we ever considered tiering our employee insurance? Like, you know, I mean, most places you go, they have like, you can get like 3 different plans. You get one where it's like a blue plan or a silver plan, and then there's a platinum plan, you know, and then they can kind of choose the benefits that they think they need. I mean, is that something that's ever come across?
Majority of the clients we have usually do have a couple of options. What happens so currently the city of Kirby pays 100%. When that happens and you have multiple options and the employee is $0 one way or the other, they're going to pick the most expensive plan. They wouldn't pick the lesser expensive plan for the city to pay for. That would be, and Chris, Mr. Garza, if I agree with you. And, you know, Brian being new, I just came on board working the city of Kirby this year myself. That's something we should definitely put into his strategy to look for next year.
Okay.
This year, a little pinch for time, but I certainly agree with what you're saying.
I understand. Thank you.
Go ahead. And as far as the Blue Cross Blue Shield, you mentioned that they, just called you and said there was 12%. So you don't have any idea as to what numbers, what
So,
changed to?
Nothing.
bring it down so much?
Nothing changed. These insurance companies, we typically get the renewal about 60 to 90 days ahead of the effective date. And, they say, hey, it's 23.5%. They're running at 115% loss ratio. And we say, hey, well, can you do anything for us? If not, we're going to go to market. Sometimes, if a plan's running well, they'll say, hey, we'll give you a rate pass if you don't go to market. And most people, if they don't have to go to market and they keep the same rates, right, you're likely going to stay. They didn't do that for us. So we went to market. And a handful of the competitors out there did decline to quote, but we had some competition. So we went back to them a few days ago and said, hey, is there anything you can do? And, go back and forth with the underwriter. They don't want to lose the business either. And you guys have been a partner with Blue Cross for quite a few years, at least the last, I believe, 5-6 years. So they came back, last minute and said, hey, 12.5 is the best we can do. And that's about 5:15 p.m. is when he called me.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And-
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to talk to you guys. I mean, it sounds to me like this curative option's the best deal that we're going to have, not only for us, but for them. I mean, if they don't have to pay, would you say $1 copays and all that? I mean, it seems like it'll be better all the way around. I mean,
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion?
okay, Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the curative medical PPO. Recommended by Marsh McClellan Agency, regarding the city employee benefits.
Second.
Okay. Right. Give me a moment.
Oh,
we-
well, thank you, sir.
Yeah. You have another question?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
So
good
we have a
evening.
motion on the table to accept the curative PPO option by Marsh McClellan
Mayor?
agents.
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I was in the back talking to the chief and before y'all vote on anything, we all should know, we're all old enough here to know that the insurance companies, regardless of the claims that they make about them sticking around, very hard to stick around when you're a brand new company. It's hard. So I can answer for him. He's not going to promise that if they go under, that he's going to relinquish his life savings to the city to help recoup that loss. He won't do that. He wouldn't do that on his birthday. And rightfully so, I wouldn't either, because we don't know if that company is going to be around or not. So I appreciate your questions about how long they've been around and that concern. There's that. And then currently, I'm not aware of any survey that goes on to solicit input from employees that are going to enroll in these health programs to figure out what they need, if they want to disclose that to you. My medical needs can be quite different than one of your medical needs. My mom doesn't really need health insurance. As many times she goes to the doctor, I just pay for that. And I think I spend maybe a couple of $1,000 a year, maybe, if she has a bad year. Me and my wife, it would cost $20,000 a year if I were to pay out of my pocket. So see, our needs are quite different. She's much older than me, recovering cancer, but yet my expenses every year exceed hers by 4 or 5 times, right? So my point is there's employees with very unique medical needs. Some of them, this insurance isn't very important. Some of them, it may be extremely important. And what you guys decide on, who you guys decide to go with, affects the services and frankly, the access to medical stuff for these employees. And so I think that it's too late now, but in the future, I'd like to see you guys work more to survey your employees. And that way, when it comes time for this, you're able to make a more informed decision as to what's best for the employees, along with what's best for the city, because that's important too. This company's new. I would expect you guys to have researched this company thoroughly, being that they're new. I don't see, based on the questions, that really has been done. I'm not sure what the time limit or time frame here is. That may be a factor. I would just urge you guys to, if you can, if it's not too late, to take talk to your employees and figure out what they think about this. It doesn't matter what I think about it. I'm not an employee. It doesn't affect me, but it does affect them. And so if you can't do it now, please do that in the future. They're going to get their money. We all know that, regardless of what they promise and what's, I think in his word, I forget what the words he described or used to describe the plan. Great. They're going to get their money. Insurance companies are not in the business of handing out money. They're in the business of taking premiums and trying to hand out as little as possible. That's why they're able to survive. These no co-pays, no this, no that, those are red flags to me. They're going to get their money somehow. If we don't know how they're getting their money and they're brand new, but they're giving things out for free, that should be a huge red flag. They're going to be around next year. Are they already headed into bankruptcy because they want to be the best one out there and give too much and not be able to take too much in? I don't know. You guys, I don't think know that either. So before you vote, they should think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have,
Can I
Yes.
say something?
Sure.
Or since it already started.
Mhm.
So in looking at the medical contributions, the option, the curative versus the renewal of the Blue Cross Blue Shield, the curative monthly premiums, even if you look all the way down, it is, well, at the bottom, total monthly premium is 34,208. For Blue Cross, it was 39,170, but that was at 23.6%. So if we look at it at what they have to offer at 12%, it wouldn't be much, I don't think it would be much of a difference between the 34,200 that option is offering versus what Blue Cross is offering. I don't know if that makes sense there.
Councilmember?
It's just my idea on this is we did hire Marsh McClellan Agency, right, to thoroughly vet and look over these things, and it seemed as though, I mean, you're absolutely right on some of that with the 12%, but there were other benefits with the curative which were positive to the employees. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I'll just say, I work for Marsh McLennan. I don't work for Curative. I don't work for Blue Cross. We represent all insurance companies across the board. Marsh McLennan's Fortune 100 company, attorneys across the country vetted Curative. They're A-rated on Wall Street. They are new, but their plan is to at least, they're sticking around. They've funded their own claims for the next 3 years. Just don't want you to have any hesitancy on them with being new. Every company has to be new at some point. But if you're more comfortable with Blue Cross, again, we represent you. I don't work for Blue Cross. I don't work for Curative. I work for you all.
Thank you.
Just to share, in our staff meetings, we went through this with all the department heads in reference to what we were doing, what we needed to do, and that this was coming, the bid was coming. Obviously, we just opened the bids yesterday, and so we didn't talk to every employee, but the department heads, we have had a conversation about kind of where we're at. I can't tell you whether it's one or the other. We just went through some of the scenarios in which employees who currently have medicine did some calculations and was going through what would be best for them and their family. But remember, the city of Kirby pays 100% for the employee. Then the family, then we pay a portion of that as well. That's one of the reasons why I would suggest, some others may not, that's a positive for Kirby when we look at the benefits. Again, Blue Cross Blue Shield is what we know. Curative is new, but I don't necessarily know if we're making the jump just because one is 8 and one is 12. But when we, as far as having a conversation, the math works for those employees who are using it. And so again, it's going to be different. But again, when you talked about the different plans, since the city is paying for the majority of it, someone wouldn't choose the other option. And so it behoove us to have like 7 employees over here and 2 over here. One of the other things that happened is, and did we get, were we rated in the large employer on this one?
Currently large employer.
Currently. One of the things is also and hopefully we don't fall back into this, is at the time when we did the census study, we were teetering on employees. So there's a threshold on where you are rated up higher when you're with large employees versus when you're smaller, when you have 50 or less. And so those are some of the things that we also kind of moving forward are making sure that we put in place, because again, you'll pay a little more money or have less options, I guess you would say. So again, it just depends on, we can stay with what we know, we can go with something that is cheaper and comparative to the services. One of the things that, you know, of the questions, like outside of the copay, you know, each entity has their list of medication. So some people's list of medication may be approved, some may not. You may have to get another option. They have the in-service network, outer network. So, I mean, it would be the same if we were going from curative to Blue Cross Blue Shield. We would have to go through this process. We just want to know, as the employees, to give us enough time to be able to transition, because we got to have an open enrollment coming up for the employees to get enrolled and get this started specifically with them and their family. They would have 120 days to participate, meaning going through this I don't want to say it's not a physical, but it's like a physical. That's the premise of everything. Preventative maintenance, preventative healthcare is the premise of this. They're saying that if you do preventive, whatever, you know, and you just work from that, then they're okay with that.
Okay. The motion, so we still have the motion on the table. Let me finish it. Motion to accept curative PPO by Marsh McClellan Agency regarding our city employee benefits. The motion was first by Councilmember Garza, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Apodaca. Chief, please call roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Apodaca,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Hicks,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Molina, sorry about that,
Yes.
Mayor Bright.
No. So what was that? We have how many? 4 yes or 4? 4. Okay. So it passes. So curative is the new insurance for our city employees' benefits. Thank you, sir. Moving on to 7B, discussion and possible action on a joint election agreement and/or polling location agreement with the Bexar County Elections Administrator for the November 7th, 2023 regular and special elections. Go ahead.
Mayor, I move that we approve the joint election agreement and polling location agreement with Bexar County Election Administrator for November 7th, 2023, regular and special elections.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to agree to a joint election agreement or polling location agreement with Bexar County Elections Administrator for the November 7th, 2023 regular and special elections. First by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Garza. Chief, can you please call roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Apodaca,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Hicks,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Molina,
Yes.
Mayor Bright.
Yes. All right, motion passes. Moving on to 7C, discussion and possible action to approve Kirby Dollar Economic Development Program proposal.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. I received an email from Mr. Lawrence Whedon, and he discussed the whole thing about how gasoline wouldn't be included in our tax revenue. So, I mean, when we are talking about these receipts coming in, is it possible to exclude gasoline in it because we're not really getting any taxes from it?
I mean, you can exclude it. You can exclude it.
Did you receive that email?
I did.
Okay, just want to make sure.
And let me go back to why the program. I guess. Well, whenever. So yes, I got what you're saying. I won't want us to get lost on what the program is supposed to do versus wanting to pick out these issues. The program is supposed to inform citizens in Kirby why shopping and spending money in Kirby is important. It matters not if it's gas, it matters not if it's bread, it matters not if it's candy or coffee. If we have it in the city of Kirby, we should want to patronize businesses in the city of Kirby. That's the baseline of it. And so I did receive his email about the gas tax. That is a state thing, and that is fine. But most people go to get gas, they go in to get drinks, they go in to get other things. But yes, that is true.
So can we exclude, I'm sorry, I'm not done.
Oh, go ahead.
So in doing this, can we make sure we exclude gasoline on that? Yeah, okay. And then secondly, I was just kind of wondering if this could be done with like a plaque other than a prize, because, you know, based on last year, the year to date, it's already increasing sales tax by 7%, and it's only going to go up till the end of the year. So I mean, we're already in an increase. So my idea of giving out $2,500 seems a little bit much. I mean, isn't there, rather than a monetary prize, I mean, can't we, you know, give away like a recognition or a plaque or something a little less monetary, so we can ensure that, you know, it's staying in the city budget?
Would most private companies spend what are called marketing dollars? They say based on marketing or advertising is going to entice you to spend money or do these types of, have certain behaviors. I don't want us to get caught up on the $2,500. I want us to get caught up on what the gist of the program is, to educate citizens in the city of Kirby why spending money in the city is important. That's the gist, because many of them leave the city of Kirby with their dollars and spend their money. So if it's 7 now with this program, if we could get it to 15, we don't know that because we have not intentionally had a campaign to focus on that. The money may seem high, but right now we're having a hard time getting volunteers to even staff majority of the committees in the city. And so the incentive to help advertise, market the program, advertise, market our community, it is for the organizations that choose to participate. For them, it was a fundraiser. For us, it's just like someone standing on the side of on the street with a sign saying this is City of Kirby. That's an advertisement, right? And so everyone in the ecosystem is benefiting from us providing local organizations the opportunity to do fundraising, for us to then be able to have impact on citizens knowing that the things that they could buy in the city of Kirby helps raise a sales tax, which then goes back into the local government, which then allows us to give them more money in services, crime prevention, and some of the other things we're trying to do. And so those are all real issues, but it's kind of, you heard the saying, you have to like spend money to make money. Most companies use it in advertising or marketing, and that's merely all this is a marketing, advertising, incentive program to get people to, one, recognize spending money in Kirby is important, two, to whom you give your money. Kirby doesn't have all the things, but if there are some things that they could, if we can get people to be more mindful of whether it's getting gas, right, we only have 3 gas stations. If we have more sales receipts, registering more things, registering more people making money, another person may open another gas station. We have 2 gas stations that don't have gas. Again, the point is about patronizing local businesses, which then when they make more money, they offer more products and services. So we don't want to get into, so there are so many issues. Again, that is just one of the things we just wanted to roll out, kind of just something to say, hey, let's get our attention. Let's communicate or educate the local citizens, and then try to see if where the local businesses are at. Maybe at the end of this, we find out that businesses they don't really care if local citizens come, because they're going to get their money off of the, whatever traffic that drives through. We don't know. And so part of this is us kind of doing that analysis at the end to where we're getting, when we're talking to the citizens, whether we have door hangers, where we're doing the education, because that's also part of it. But the thing on the education piece, you need the volunteers, because there's the one who's going to put out the information. So they're the ones who are going to be knocking on the doors or helping, because they have a vested interest, which is the fundraiser for their organization. So it's kind of like a catch-22. Everybody benefits. But again, just to answer your question, I don't think people would be doing it for a plaque. I think it would. We can barely get people to volunteer for half the boards we have.
And also, I mean, the expectation with that part of it was, I mean, we had discussed, prior to you, we had discussed actually bringing somebody in for EDC to, help with, pushing us out or figuring out if businesses would come here and all this other stuff. And that's all I'm really navigating towards. If we put all the money together that we're trying to utilize for EDC, or even trying to bring money to EDC, it would mostly be for that. I recall during those meetings that I had gone to EDC and requested that maybe they consider putting vending machines in the park, and that would create revenue. And then it was, well, who's going to fill the vending machines? Who's going to do this? So I mean, it was really a press so that we could actually maneuver to getting someone who was an expert in EDC to actually come. But they were going to cost, and that was the whole situation that we had with that, and that was the reason why that failed. So it was mostly coming down to that. That's the reason why I'm asking these questions when it comes down to this. I understand the marketing aspect of it. It's really mostly just, are we utilizing it in our best form? Because, $2,500 would pay, a small portion, but part of, getting this person to come and speak to their, corporate people that they know to help bring businesses here to Kirby.
Yeah. So I have got some training in EDC, and so how it works is you bring in a professional, and they want a budget. And so to bring in a professional with no budget is going to do what? And so the goal is to get there, just like I think we talked about getting an economic 4B corporation where we get sales tax, and all those things going to take time, because again, where we're at in this year, the goal is to get some momentum from the city and the citizens, getting momentum from September to January of people who want to serve in your local community, to talk about local businesses. That momentum of working with small businesses, working with citizens, then will spark people who want to become part of the Chamber of Commerce that you don't have here, that we don't have here locally. Those things don't work. It don't matter if you bring in a person who's credentialed with no budget, and those processes not in place, like a Chamber of Commerce, like a Rotary, and like some of the other things to us that feeds each other, it's hard for the connection to happen. And so all we're trying to do is get a kind of like a pilot program of things so here's a change opportunity, here's a new opportunity, let's get on board and get people who want to participate. And then that leads to forming a Chamber of Commerce, and that leads to then getting the money to move forward to having an election that we can't have until May, about forming an 4B economic development 4B, or if we do what is called an MDD, or some of the other types of corporations that exist that allow us to do things with the sales tax revenue. But again, because we have a baseline of like ground zero, then it would the goal was to get something to jumpstart where people say, hey, I want to be a part of that, or people see some form of movement, then we get a Chamber of Commerce, and then now we start having people moving in the same direction. But I agree, at some point we'll need a consultant, but getting a consultant when you don't have a budget of zero, when you're gonna pay all your money to get the consultant, it's you kind of going around in circles.
Okay, so first we have, I'm gonna let y'all know the order. Councilmember Molina, then Martin, and then Lozano. Okay, so you'll go first.
Okay, I just wanted to ask or clarify, on that email that we got that he said we couldn't use tax dollars on the gas for that. But I don't think the idea was to use any tax money from gas. It's just getting receipts to show that they're spending money in the city of Kirby. And that's what I wanted just to clarify. It's not money that they're going to get from the tax on the gas. It's money that they're going to end up paying for sales tax that they're paying on any of the goods that they buy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Rowland. I just, I read it, and when I read it, I said, well, I don't think we're trying to say, hey, we're going to tax anything on there. We're just going to get the revenue that we get anyway, and out of that is where we use that to kind of benefit. Correct?
That is correct, but he wanted to specify. So if I go in Dollar General, there's a tax on the bottom of your receipt. When you get gas, the tax is not, there's no tax added to the gas. Actually, the tax is already in the $3.38 that you pay.
Right.
And so he just wanted to communicate. He wanted to let us know that there was no tax. And so I agree, but we all have the same understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Martin.
I think this is a great program. I really like the excitement for the kids, for Little League,
Boy Scout.
baseball, Boy Scouts, the church, football. I think it's a great challenge for them. It'll be a great fundraiser for them.
Okay.
So I'm all for it.
Councilmember Lozano?
Yes, so I have a few questions. So where did the $25,000 come from? Is that just something you've used before in the past, or?
Yes, the goal. Yes, the goal is 25,000, and you see that on your receipts. It's not $25,000 that is going to be an account for the city of Kirby. So every month there is receipts that come in of sales. So the same sales that funds crime prevention district, same sales that fund the MTA. There's a report that comes from the comptroller's office. Only thing we're saying, and we put a number, we can make it lower. The number was just a goal of wanting to have that much activity of people saying, hey, we diverted that money from going to San Antonio to have people focus on spending that money in the city of Kirby. And so we can't control it, but a nice goal would be to say we had that economic spend in our community, which then would revert into sales tax coming to the city and to the other entities under us, to show that there's a direct. It's just like I said, if you had a cell phone store on FM 78 and I had a sign, or if I had an apartment complex and I had the sign and I said, come to my apartment complex, the owner of the apartment complex can't say, he can't count everyone who came to him based on that person standing on the side of the street, but you noticed it and you came in. And so you attribute your advertising and marketing of whatever you're selling to more people coming in. And so we're saying that we're going to attribute people who are going to spend. So when we see the increase in sales tax in the city of Kirby, we can attribute that to the Kirby dollar. How can we tangibly see that? With receipts, right? So there's intangibles that's going to be more than that number, but the tangibles is going to be the receipts. But then it also tell us some other things. How many businesses give receipts? That I've done this program before, and you really notice that, yeah, the local businesses aren't giving receipts. So it helps all the way around, because then those businesses want to increase. If they want more people to come, they do whatever they need to do to be able to get those receipts.
Okay, and then when would it start? Because it says December 2023 is when they would have to turn in the receipts. So
Yeah.
with that,
The goal was supposed to start September and go to December, and then we would recognize this and give them the what's name in January. So it's really 3 months. It's not a. It's just a 3 month thing, we'll know if we'll be able to have results of did it work? Did it not work? Did it, what do we need to do to change it?
That's all.
Okay. And to the end of December, correct?
Yes, it's the
Okay.
end of December, the end of the month.
Okay.
And then they'll turn all the receipts in.
So we can get
and
those
then we'll
Christmas
give the
sales.
Christmas
That's what it is.
sales.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
All
Right.
the sales
Mhm.
up to the December 31st. And
Okay.
then we'll do the thing in January with the kickoff and give the results, because there's the business component. Did businesses impact?
Mhm.
How do we get business to be more sustainable? But then there's the opportunity of once they get involved, then what do they do? Hey, why don't we have a business breakfast? Why don't we have a chamber of commerce? And so then you start getting people involved. But right now, I don't know if we said maybe, I don't know if we asked for a business breakfast, how many people would come? Right. And so it's kind of just slow and steady.
Councilmember Martin.
Mayor, I move we approve the Kirby Dollar Economic Program.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to approve the Kirby Dollar Economic Development Program. First by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Hitt. Chief, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Hitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozano,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Molina,
Yes.
and Mayor Bright.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
And one more thing.
Go ahead.
I move we take a break.
Okay. Well, so, consensus, everybody's okay with taking a break?
10 minutes.
10, just 10 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 8:31, so 8:41, everybody return, please.
Oh, I used to get up, walk around.
Yes.
Exactly, I think it's